Good morning, second grade. I am so happy to see everyone on this morning, and we're going to have a great session here. So I want to start, I have a question for you guys. My question is, I want you to think about what is your favorite book or movie or TV show. Take a minute and think about which one's your favorite. I'm going to think of mine too. All right. So I thought of my favorite. Raise your hand right up in front of you or give me a thumbs up if you thought of your favorite. Awesome. I see lots of thumbs up and hands up. That's awesome. All right. Who would like to share with all of us? Go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on a few of you to share our favorites. All right, go ahead. Oh, I like that one too. Go ahead. Yes. All right, two more. Go ahead. Oh, yes, that's a really good one too. I've been loving all of these. You guys have some great favorites. All right, one more. Go ahead. Awesome. That was an awesome one to end it on. All right. So we have these favorite movies or TV shows or books. And I bet since they're our favorites, we could, if someone asked us to tell us more about our favorite, we would be able to tell them so much about it. We could tell them the characters, what happens in the book, where it takes place, all kinds of things. And so we could actually tell other people those kind of things and answer questions about the books we read using some WH questions to help us think and understand the story better. So today for our lesson, we're going to be talking about WH questions. And so it's standard CC132B, and it's about WH questions, asking and answering them to demonstrate understanding of the key details in a text. So what that means for you guys is that when we are all done with our lesson today, I want everyone to feel like they have a better understanding of answering questions such as who, what, when, where, why, and how, to show me and yourself that you know what's happening in the story or the short text we're reading, and you just understand it a little bit better. So we are going to work together to practice answering some of these questions, going back to the story, and I have a poster for us to learn more about what these question words mean, and also a short little video. So some different ways to switch it up, but we're going to work on this together, and at the end, I know that we will all have learned so much. All right, so we are going to start learning about what these WH questions mean when we see them in a question or when we're just thinking about our stories that we're reading. And so you guys will have access to this on your end, but right now we'll all just look at my screen. So the first one is who. And so who, when we see that in a question, it's talking about a person or an animal. So who are the characters in the book? For Pete the Cat, those books, technically they make him a person, but we could also say it's an animal. It's Pete the Cat. That's one of the characters in the story. So that's who. Now, another one is what. When they're asking what, they're usually talking about an object, like scissors, or an action, maybe like laughing or talking. So we might say, what did you do first at school today? So maybe you logged onto your computer. That is what you did first at school today. All right. The third one that we have is where. So where is talking about a place. So if they say, where do you live? We might say Pennsylvania, or the road do you live on? That's where. Where maybe the story is taking place. So we have who, what, and where. Next we have when. So when, they want a time. And so that could be like a time on a clock, like 12 o'clock. It could be a season, maybe spring time. Could be a holiday or a month. Those are all kind of times, depending on what the story is talking about. It might be talking about dinner time or breakfast time. So those are what we're looking for when we say when. Now, why is our next WH question? And when they ask why, they want a reason. So that means someone's talking, we need a reason for it. And so we might say, well, why don't you like Brussels sprouts? And we could say, well, I don't like them because we're going to give a reason. I think they taste really yucky. Or why don't you like going across the monkey bars? And you might say, because, we're going to give a reason here, because it is too hard. I just can't get across, and I'm done trying. And our last one here is how. And so there's two different options for this. Either a number, so like how many dogs do you have? Or it could also be how is something being done? So how are we going to make our lunch today? Are we going to make it in the microwave? Or are we going to make it on the stove? How are we going to do that? And so these are our 6 WH questions. Along the bottom, again, we have when, why, and how. So we're going to go over now. We're going to practice. I'm going to show you one while you guys watch me do it, just so that you can see how we might go about it. So it says, Best Friends Clubhouse. This is our first little story. So I'm going to read, and then there's a couple questions using our WH words. Zach and Kelly build a clubhouse in the backyard. Zach paints the door purple and blue. Kelly gets a green couch. The friends build the clubhouse every day after school. The friends are so excited to play games in their new clubhouse. All right, so now that we've read, we have our questions. Number 1, what are the friends building? And so you might remember, and you can find your answer really quickly, but we're going to go back and see what the word what is looking for. So what here is looking for an object or an action. So what object are they building? You can go back up and look. It's a clubhouse. So we could go ahead and type this in. Now it says, where is the clubhouse? So let's go back to our poster. Where is looking for a place. So what place is the clubhouse going to be? It says the clubhouse is in their backyard. So we can go ahead and write or type backyard. All right. Now it says, who paints the door? Let's go back and look at our poster. Who, there's a picture of a person here. So we want to know what person is painting the door. Zach. Zach is painting the door. So we could go ahead and type that in here. Next, number 4, it says, who gets the couch? So another who question. They want to know what person. And it says, Kelly gets a green couch. So here is that here, Kelly. Next is, when do they build the clubhouse? So let's go back and see on our poster what when means. It's a time. So we need a time of when they're building the clubhouse. It says the friends build the clubhouse every day after school. So they're getting it done after school. We could type that in here. And the last one, why are the friends excited? So let's go to our poster one last time. Why? They're looking for a reason. So like, why are they excited? They need a reason. And it says here, they're going to play games in the new clubhouse. So we could write that down. Games in the new clubhouse. So that video was part of the I Do as a different way of learning about the WH questions. So we would finish the video, complete another short passage and questions myself for the I Do. And then we would go into we do. If the students can work together in like meeting rooms, that would be great. If not, we can work together as a class. I can give them wait time while they think about the answers, and we can all take turns sharing the answers and helping each other. We would do probably 2 of those, and then I can see using a formative assessment of a thumbs up if you're feeling really good about this, in the middle if you're still having some trouble but sometimes you're good, and a thumbs down if they really are not understanding and they're having a lot of difficulty and are really frustrated with it. And so then that way, going into the you do section of independent work, I can use that formative assessment that I just did to help those kiddos really struggling first. And so they would get a passage and questions assigned to them on the computer. And since we're working more on this skill and learning about these WH questions, I would go ahead and read the passage and the questions to the class so they can follow along, so that they're not so frustrated with the reading of the passage and questions that they can't even practice working on answering the questions. And that would, of course, be if a lot of them are lower level readers, which there are some that have the IEPs I know in the class, so that would probably be necessary and beneficial. Speaking of the IEPs, I would make sure that all accommodations and modifications were met at the beginning of the lesson and prepared, and so this would be another time to check in on those kiddos, and if there's any accommodations for independent work, that those needs are being met. And if there are kiddos who are advanced, which I know there were probably 4 or so, that when they are done with that work, they can get a Google Doc out and pick a YouTube book, a book from Epic, or one from their house, and go ahead and read through and start writing about some of those WH questions. So who are the characters? Where is it taking place? So that they can extend those skills to something a bit more involved. And so like I said, I can assign these and get the kiddos' answers back to use for another type of formative assessment. And depending on how quickly they're turning them in, I can assist while we're still doing the lesson. And if there's kiddos who aren't turning them in until the lesson is completely over, I can look at those after and the next day go back in and reteach anything. Maybe there's one question that everyone is getting wrong, and we can review those things. And finally, with the whole class, I would review the learning target, just remind them what we're working on, being able to say that and the kiddos saying this as well, like I can answer these WH questions and they help me understand what I'm reading more and show that I understand what I'm reading.